think you're stalking me on the internet, Cindy. It's okay. Doug, how we doing? Rick, Ann, Bob, Kim, Robin, Sherry, Bill, Betsy, Bob, Neil. No,
I think that's because there are actually 8 people who all pretend to be Cindy.
Yeah, maybe.
And they're taking turns.
That might be right. So, you want me to cut this screen on? Let me go ahead and hit this record button, guys, so you guys can see what we got going on. I'm going to show my screen. Can you guys see my screen here? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, close that window. Let me show you guys something. So, you know, we've had this conversation, I think, on the last time. First off, actually, welcome, 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 welcome. Every time I get on here, I feel like I'm just having a conversation with a friend of mine. You know what I mean? It's kind of different, so I don't, it's just kind of cool. I like it. So I want to show you guys something. I want to show you guys something. If you see my screen here, you can see where you can get co-op positions. We're opening this up. We're opening up the co-op spots for you guys to go ahead and grab a position in here. What we'll do is I'll kick off an email to anyone who has an event ticket and make sure that you guys can absolutely get a spot. We have limited in the number of spots, but we'll make sure that you guys can get into the co-op. And who here has been on a DSD co-op before? Let me know in the chat real quick. Beautiful, beautiful. And Dawn, the answer is actually yes for INFINii Network. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so when you guys were on a co-op, was it good? Did it work for you? Did you like it? Did it work out? Did you get sales? Did you have leads come to the door? Lots and lots of leads. Okay. So, okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, so with this one, who here wants to hop back on the co-ops? Let me know, and I'll show you how this works. You actually don't need an autoresponder. So for those of you who are inside of DS, you don't need an autoresponder for this. Okay, you could just go over here, you grab a position, 1 position, 5 positions, or 10 positions. I recommend 1 position, just because you always want to have a toe in the water whenever you're doing anything. I would recommend 1 position, and then you just purchase it. And what will happen is I'll get the notification and we'll run everything for you. And what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to look at your leads in the back office by going to Aweber Leads. Now the cool thing is we've already started driving traffic. The traffic has already begun. We already have leads coming down through the door, through the sales funnels. And it's just a matter of inserting you in there. We're already doing this. And I think you guys know we love to generate leads and things of that nature because you know, we don't really stop doing that, and there are times when we ramp it up, and right now we've been ramping it up because it's typically profitable for us, right? So any of you who want to get onto this and get onto the co-op, now is your time. What you can do is log into the back office, go to your affiliate co-op, and just click this leads. If you would have went there 15 minutes ago, it would have said the co-op is closed. We just opened it back up. And briefly, good question, Julian. So here's what the co-op does. So for all of you who are affiliates inside of DS, you have something called your link and promo. I'll show you something. I'll show you where that is. You can come over here and you can see your link and promo tools. And if you were to grab one of these pages and open it up in a new window, you would see a capture page that looks something like this. Now there's a bunch of these capture pages, right? We have a few of them back there for you guys to go ahead and use. And you don't need to install an autoresponder or do anything. What we do is we go back, we grab your link, and then we add it into the rotation depending on how many clicks, how many spots that you've purchased inside of the co-op. And this, just doing that, that's about as hard as it is, right? You just grab your spot, boom, and we go ahead and put you in there. Now, when somebody comes and fills out this form, when we drive the traffic, when we drive the clicks, and somebody fills this out and puts their name and email address, they'll actually go and hit Access Now and go watch the sales video. And that will put them on a list, on an autoresponder to follow up with them. Oh, let me pause this. That'll put them on an autoresponder, and we follow up with them automatically for you. At the same time, we insert those leads in your back office so you can see how many leads you had here. You can click on your Aweber leads and you can view those leads that you've gotten through the co-op. It's pretty much that simple. It's pretty much that simple. I'm hopping in the chat to see some questions. And I'll tell you what I can do too. We didn't do this yet, but I'll tell you what I'll do for everybody on here. I will kick out, especially those of you who attended this webinar, I'll create you a quick video that walks you through that, even though it's pretty much that simple, right? You just go to the affiliate co-op and you purchase a spot, right? Purchase one spot, boom, and that's it. And you just proceed to purchase. Now this is going to use your credits, right? So if you don't have credits, you would have to go ahead and purchase those. But this kind of walks you through it. It's pretty easy. There's nothing really difficult about it.
Okay, hey, if you're okay with that, I'd like to address some of the questions quick, and because there are a ton of questions coming in. So guys, the reason why you don't hear Kevin talking is because he's reading all of these questions. And because he's in Japan, he sometimes gets confused between English and Japanese, so it takes him a while.
That's
so
right, I got to translate it in my mind.
So let me try and address some of these questions. So first of all, this particular co-op that we're just showing you guys is a DSD co-op. However, if you are also in INFINii, which a lot of you are asking, is this for INFINii or DSD? We are doing this co-op just for our ticket buyers from DSD who have purchased tickets before. We are also setting up a completely separate system on INFINii. Okay, so if you guys are interested in that one, we will go over that one with you as well. And that it's a little bit different and a little bit, in some ways, cooler, and I'll explain why. Because that includes your own autoresponder that you actually already have. Okay, so we will address both of these sides, so you don't have to worry about it or be confused about it. Let me walk you through very quickly what the process of a co-op is and what that means. Okay, so first of all, who over here has made sales in the e-commerce side on any platform? Okay, on eBay or Amazon or Bonanza or whatever. Okay. Beautiful. See, this makes it so much easier because pretty much everybody on this call seems to have. So do you all understand the concept of what we call a buyer's club? So a buyer's club is where we go purchase items in bulk. We get a cheaper price because we are buying it in bulk. And then we go ahead and have higher profit margins because we paid a lower price. Okay? That's all a buyer's club is. Now, in the world of marketing, in affiliate marketing or things like that, and even for your own eBay stores and such, the most important commodity is what we call traffic and leads, right? I mean, what do you want when you put up a listing on eBay? You want viewers that will convert into sales. When you put up an item on Amazon, you want to rank it well, which, by the way, remind me, I have some cool stuff to share about Amazon. But when you put up an item on Amazon, you want to see the item get ranked well, so it gets more traffic, it gets more views, and then it converts to sales, okay? What we do for our affiliates and our partners in INFINii, we essentially run co-ops, which is a type of a buyer's club. So we go in, and this is fun, so just so you guys understand how business happens behind the scenes as well, is we call up all of our contacts that we know, right, because we've been doing this for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We have lots of contacts. Excuse me. So we get a hold of the guys and we're like, all right, so we are your old-time buddies and friends, and in some cases mentors and so on. So we're like, hey, we are looking to do something special for our users. We want to run a buyer's club for traffic. And we want to convert the traffic into leads, and we want to convert those leads into sales. Okay? But here is the cool thing of what we need to do. we need to understand the process of how you convert watchers into sales, and the same way you learn the concept of turning leads into members. Okay, so we are going to run this buyers club where we go in and we get cheaper traffic than pretty much anyone on here can get. But it's not just cheap traffic, it's actually traffic that's both cheap and also very, very, very effective, to the point that when we do this on the INFINii side as well, we are also going to be doing some cost per lead co-ops where we'll basically guarantee a maximum price for the lead. Okay, that's kind of, I think, kind of cool. Okay, so what basically happens here is that you come in and you say, okay, I'm going to pitch in $100, and then 5 other people come in and say, I'm going to pitch in $100, and then another 10 people come in and say that, and so on and so forth. And eventually we have a pretty big pool of funds, and we go out and we purchase the traffic in bulk from our contacts, which again, I can pretty much assure you, you won't find cheaper traffic and more targeted traffic than that. And then we drive that traffic to pages that we know will convert into leads. Okay, so we will drive the traffic to pages that we design, that we get monitoring, we get leads off of those pages, and then we take those leads and we do follow-ups with those leads. And at the same time, we give those leads to you. So if you want to, Kevin, quickly click on affiliate and then Aweber leads if you just want to show them where that is. We essentially put those leads on a page for you, so you are able to take those leads and follow up with them yourself if you want as well. So here's an example, as you can see. And funny enough, note the date and time stamp. You see how they came in, like, in some cases, within seconds of each other or minutes of each other. That's because we drive so much traffic so fast. So this way, you guys get leads, and you're able to send them off more emails, promote different things, however you want, your own style of doing things. So this is basically what happens on the affiliate side. It's the exact same thing that we do on the e-commerce side. It just is more rooted in the idea of trying to develop your teams bigger so you can be getting more residual income. There are a lot of people who used traffic that we are bringing in either from our co-op or outside the co-op, but they use this kind of traffic and piggyback off of our co-ops in many cases to develop, $200,000-$300,000 worth of incomes as partners or as affiliates. So it's the exact same concept here. You're just getting to jump in on that and get to use that whole process along the way. Okay. Now, does that make more sense for those of you who are unfamiliar with what an affiliate co-op means? Perfect. Now, again, you guys have the choice because you're going to find two types of things, and we have found a lot of people say the same thing. Some people say, I prefer to drive traffic to DSD first, get the sale at $20, introduce a person to it, and then move them on to something else. There are other people who prefer to promote INFINii first because they like different aspects of it. For example, it's cheaper for the amount of training you get and the different things that you get in there on the lowest level. So there are different approaches, and that's why we give you guys both the options. You can run with whatever you would like, and you can use whatever you want. Okay. So we will discuss the whole thing with the INFINii side in a little bit as well, with the funded proposals and stuff like that. Okay. The exact same thing that we're doing for the affiliate co-op, we are also doing for our product co-op. Okay, the product co-op is where we basically purchase items in bulk because we have relationships with vendors, because we are basically a buyer's club and we're purchasing items together at a lower cost. And that in turn allows us to generate profits on those items that are usually a little bit hard to generate. Okay, so if you don't mind, Kevin, I will grab the screen for just a moment. Because I want to show you guys something. Because you don't find us talking about this stuff a whole lot. We are not massive braggers about it because there are many different factors. But ignoring personality and ignoring all of these different factors, one important thing is that we like to scale things in an appropriate way. And sometimes if you put too much emphasis on something, it gets out of hand and it's talked about or it's promoted about in a way that's really not what it is. So we had this issue when we first launched our buyers club called Springboard. When we ran this, people were like, oh, this sounds like basically a rev share or something like that, which is just kind of insane. And we don't want any accusation of this is kind of like, I see like programs like this all the time. They're promoted a lot on Facebook as well. So we wanted to make sure that people understood this is an e-commerce thing. You buy items as a buyer's club and you sell them on Amazon and so on. So this right here is the Amazon order ID. I've hidden half of it because we don't want anybody finding Amazon order IDs of the products that we sold. And in each of these sales, every single one of these sales is actually a sale made in our Buyers Club on behalf of our members. Okay, so people who participate in those Buyers Club. So what we do is you come in, you say, all right, here are some products that we really like. Then we purchase those products from the vendor for a certain price, typically cheaper price, and then we send it off to Amazon and sell it there. So you can see, for example, this is saying, this is what the item sold for on Amazon, this is what the fees were, and this is what the earning is, okay, what the net profit was on the item. So I can actually, this is kind of nuts, because it would take a very, very long time to get through all of these sales, as you can see. My point is to show you guys that the margin there, the scope there, and what you can achieve there is incredible. It's massive, and in many cases it's untapped. So the same system exists for both the partner side of things, and it exists for our product side of things, which we call Springboard. And these are the two things that we're putting out both for our INFINii members, as we've already done, and we're also putting out a version of it for our DSD ticket buyers. So you guys will get a chance to participate in these type of co-ops on the DSD side, but only for those who are our VIP ticket holders. So those of you who are going to get an email, and you're going to get a link to a page where you will be able to see additional items on the DSD side. You'll be able to get those items, participate in the Buyers Club, and then we sell them on Amazon on your behalf. So does everybody understand that concept? This concept of what a Springboard thing is, I've still been scrolling, it's amazing. Is that clear? Awesome. So we're going to do both of these things at the same time. We are going to, it is pretty, thank you for saying it's fantastic, because it kind of is. It's very rare. There's this concept that if you try to do something that's unique and difficult, everybody can teach, everybody can do training and things like that, but it's really, I think, what's happening more and more now, especially with things that are going on with the Amazon eBay side of the things, it's really coming to the point where we have to understand that developing these vendor relationships, developing your own unique sources of items is kind of a critical thing going forward. Okay, so let me walk you guys through, and we are talking about the past ticket holders. Okay, so let me walk you guys through this, a little bit of what's going on the Amazon side and why we believe this is such an important thing to do. And without going too much into it, why it is a time in the season where selling training and selling systems is going to be the big thing that people are doing, but it's not necessarily the best thing for you. Okay, so let me walk you guys through this very, very quickly. Amazon right now is going through consolidation that we discussed before. If you guys did not watch the last webinar we did, please go to your homepage in the members area. You get there by clicking this big giant button. And you will see this, click here to watch our latest corporate webinar. So make sure that you watch this. I addressed a lot of things in there, and I specifically talked about this issue where Amazon is beginning to monitor itself. It's beginning to say, all right, we're not going to accept certain type of items. You're not going to accept items that have low sale through and things like that. And they're actually going to be releasing an updated guideline set where they're going to be enumerating that a little bit more. So for some of you who were getting those, not some of you, many of you who were getting those messages from Amazon earlier, hopefully you've been able to get through. In fact, let's do a quick poll. Has anybody received a message from Amazon saying this ASIN is not acceptable right now because it's doesn't have enough sales threshold and stuff like that? All right, so we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeses. But were you on a repeated attempt able to get that item through? For those of you who got that message, were you able to eventually get that item through? There you go, perfect, yes. So here's basically what Amazon is starting to do. They are starting to note the items, and they're beginning to put that as a guideline, because they don't want negative feedback either. But they're beginning to notice, does this affect the behavior of the users who are trying to send their items in, right? So really, it's very straightforward. When you're trying to put up an item on Amazon, you want to target items that are seasonal, that will sell through quickly, that do not have a tremendous amount of competition from other FBA sellers. Because if you see that happening, then Amazon will just deny you in many cases. And especially very large items as well. Amazon is looking more to get out of that a little bit, or limit that rather, not get out of it, but limit it. So what's going to start happening here is you're going to begin seeing that unless you develop your own brand and unless you develop your own sources, special sources, not that everybody else is doing, you will start to see some issues coming out of that. One great example of this is the Amazon dropshipping guidelines that they put out in 2015. Do you guys remember that? I think it was in February of 2015. They put out this new page with guidelines where they said, oh, if you are doing dropshipping on Amazon, you can't do that. We want you to stop doing that. And it was very interesting because they put that out there, but there wasn't a whole lot that they actually did, right? I mean, they didn't actually police that very aggressively. They didn't actually suspend a lot of people over that. I'll explain what they suspended people over. But the idea was they wanted to put that out there to try and see and gauge the behavior of the users. They wanted to see, are the users going to change this behavior? Are they going to stop this behavior? And what is the effect on our customers overall? And clearly so far, the effect on the customers has not been very negative. That's why they continue. But it will continue in that direction, in the direction of Amazon trying to consolidate things, eBay trying to consolidate things. I don't know if you guys read the news stories, but eBay has been considering getting into warehousing a little bit themselves. They have started their own valet program. They started that like 8 months ago in a big way. Before that, they had it, but it was not a big deal. So all of these things are happening in the world of e-commerce. So you guys have to always be prepared and a couple steps ahead. You have to know that we have to start developing our own sources, our own networks of vendors, our own unique relationships, and we have to have places to purchase these items from, right? That's basically what we're trying to do as well. So the same thing happens in the world of traffic. At one point in time, you did that with Google AdWords. It was easy money. And then you, over time, realize that there are certain type of traffic, there's a certain type of source that works really well for you, and you develop relationships with that. So, we have some pretty good relationships. So we are able to do this for our members on the traffic side. And we have done this for years for our members, but we are also now able to do that on the product side. So we are trying to offer both of those options to our members, saying, listen, while you get your own business going in a big way, you also have this option to piggyback off of our efforts a little bit. So I'm going to show you guys something a little bit interesting. I'm going to try and take a screenshot of it just so you can see one of the things that we're doing. So as you know, we have a lot of contacts in the world of vendors, and one of the things we've been developing is our own vendor networks. So I'll show you guys an interesting little thing, which is, let me see, I believe this is it. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this item. All right, so you should be able to see this on my screen now. Okay, so this is actually from within our own marketplace, our internal marketplace. And I wanted to notice this very carefully here. This is an airsoft gun, okay? And as you can see, the guaranteed lowest price that you can sell this for out there is $178.95. Okay, the vendor will not allow, the manufacturer will not allow somebody to sell it for a price less than that. And you can also see the price right here, and that price is obviously much lower than that one. The reason is, this is one of the examples of a vendor that we go to and say, hey, listen, we would like you to give us your inventory, load your inventory into our system, and our members who are not public, we're not selling to the general public, our members are going to take these items and sell these items on your behalf. And we're able to, work out deals with them and do all sorts of fun stuff to basically give you guys the ability to source these items and things like that. So essentially the idea is to develop our own vendor networks, develop massive networks of vendors ourselves internally, and that's just basically the definition of our marketplace, right? I mean, what is Amazon? What is Overstock? What is Zulily? All of these sites are essentially big networks of vendors who are there because they can sell their items. So when we offer the same thing to our vendors as well, with one additional caveat, we tell them that we will enforce your MAP pricing. We will make sure that your pricing is respected and nobody else can sell it for less than that. They really like that. They really appreciate us doing that for them. So that's why we're able to bring this out. So at this point, we're looking to bring in hundreds of thousands of vendors and all that good stuff. All that will let us do, what that will let our members do, is when you have an item to sell, you don't go and sell that item on eBay and source it from Amazon. You can actually go sell that item on eBay and Amazon and Bonanza and Shopify and WooCommerce and INFINii stores. But you can actually source that item from the INFINii marketplace, right from the manufacturer, basically guaranteeing you the lowest price, but also making sure that nobody else is competing with non-DSD, non-INFINii members. That's one of the cool ideas or the concepts behind this whole thing. And that's why we're running these buyers clubs, because we run these buyers clubs and that becomes a little bit of a testimonial from us to these product vendors, because we go to them and say, listen, about in the next 5 days, we buy out 100 of your items or buy out 1,000 of your items and stuff like that. And they really like that. That's like an evidence to them that this team is serious, this company is serious. So we're able to pull those things off because of your power, because we have members who are selling, $2.5 billion worth on eBay, Amazon, and other places. So this allows us to basically complete this supply chain and bring it into our network. Does that make sense? Does it? Because I hope one of the questions you guys ask is, what do these guys get? Because everybody else in our position right now, or anybody else I should say, who's even remotely in our position, who has a following, who has a trustworthy name, who has some track record in the e-commerce world, all of them are in the phase of let's sell training, let's sell coaching, let's sell whatever we can to get generated income. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It brings more ideas to the market. It's all great. But what we are thinking, what we are looking at is, from our position, we are seeing a lot of these changes coming on, which will likely over the next 12 months or so really strongly impact the e-commerce market. I want you guys to really genuinely think about this. What do you do if tomorrow Amazon says we are raising our FBA fees 20%? And don't get the idea that it doesn't happen. If the prices of gas go up, Amazon will do it. If the price of real estate goes up, Amazon will do it. If the prices go down, if let's say the economy goes further down, Amazon can still do it because they might need that to generate more revenue. If that happens, what is the backup plan? If you are doing Amazon FBA, what is our backup plan? If you're doing these things, all of that stuff. And that's why for us, this is a matter of, we were ahead of the curve by about a year when we first came out with DSD stuff. And we are aiming to be ahead of the curve by about a year when we come out with all of these vendor networks and marketplaces and all that funny stuff. Okay? So this is all the thought process behind it, and why we are not getting on a webinar saying, hey, let's pitch you guys this cool new tool, or let's pitch you guys this cool new training, or let's pitch you guys whatever, because even though we could do that and probably make 100 grand tonight, and that's very, in some way tempting, but at the same time, we're like, that's not what this community is for. Our community is here to win together, to do well together. We just don't do that stuff. We just don't find that to be exciting. We don't find that to be fun. We find it to be fun to build a system that all of our members duplicate and they do really, really well in. So that whole concept can really be summarized in two things, right? Things that are hard to do right now, things that are hard for people to accomplish, are basically get sales, especially on the affiliate or partner side. So our solution for that is develop a system, make it cheap, drive the traffic. You all know why we love the e-commerce model, right? The reason why you all love selling on Amazon and eBay is they generate the traffic for you. That's what you like about it so much. So if we develop a system where you can leverage, you don't have to worry about the traffic, you don't have to do it yourself, you don't have to worry about conversions and do it yourself, you don't have to worry about high costs, that's a pretty good solution. So that's our solution on affiliate or partner side. At the same time, one of the things we need to do is a solution for stability in e-commerce side, and maybe more control in some ways, and obviously more profits. I mean, we all want the greatest profits, right? Anybody on this call who does not want more profits on your sales? Absolutely not. Very good. I'm glad. If we had a bunch of people saying, I want to make less profits, we'd have a problem. The economy would stop working tomorrow. The whole economy would die tomorrow if we had majority of the people saying, I don't want to make more money. Let's say make it inexpensive. And just to be clear, make it inexpensive but elegant, like jet bike. Okay. So,
like jet bike.
So we have the solution for stability in e-commerce, which means more control and more profits. The solution is develop your own networks of sellers and vendors, develop a system around it, leverage traffic that already exists. Okay, that's basically what the aim is, and this is why you guys will begin to see why we have very different approaches in the two companies, right? Like here we are really informal, we are joking around, doing all the stuff. It's kind of like, you know, family. So we like being able to tell you guys the stuff in more plainer terms. So on the DSD side, the idea is, and anybody who tells you that's not the case is just flat out lying to you. The reason why the DSD partner side or the affiliate side works is because of the high commissions on the front end sale. Okay, and that's why people want to make sure they make Genesis sales, they make Monopoly sales, because they want to make a lot of money on those sales. That's a good thing, guys. That's a very, very good thing. That's what people should be aiming for. But that's what drives the affiliate side on DSD. Okay, because the market here is all of us. It's people like us who are looking to make an income online, right? So what we call this is front-loaded comp plan. And you might think it doesn't affect you, but it does, because it affects who reaches out to you. It affects how many people approach you about it. It affects how many people will join you in something, but it also affects in the background what kind of a network we can develop for different reasons outside of just recruitment or something like that, right? So this is called a front-loaded comp plan. This is great because this means you get good percentage in commission upfront. That means you can keep running traffic. All right. Now, the same thing applies on your e-commerce products as well. You like products that have good profit margins because you can keep the system running really well if you're making money quickly and effectively right from the beginning. Why dropshipping is such a good model, because you sell first and then you buy, right? But when it comes to developing a long-term business, what do you guys look to do? You go to FBA and you're okay with maybe a slightly smaller profit margin, but you'll be able to sell 1,000 of them, right? So there's more stability. There's more of a room, more of a potential for long-term growth. That's where you focus on different types of products as well, okay? So all of you who think that your e-commerce side and your affiliate side are two different things are just wrong. They're the exact same thing. They're the exact same concept. You just have to understand how they fit together. Now, if our goal, however, is to develop the vendor networks, if our goal is to develop a system where we can attract the vendors in and we can bring the manufacturers in, then a front-loaded comp plan doesn't work. Okay, what you have to do is use a completely different approach for that. Then you use a team building comp plan. And here is the benefit of this to the vendor. Vendors exist in places like Asia, in places like Europe, okay, in places like Mexico and South America. Many of them, as we know, and if you followed the presidential campaigns at all, then you know there is a lot of talk about the trade deals and what it has done to American manufacturing. So we know that a lot of these manufacturers currently reside overseas. We all know Alibaba, right? The absolute behemoth that's in China and so on. So we have to find a way to bring these vendors in, to attract these vendors in. That's why you use a slightly different style of compensation plan. You try to use something that will be very attractive to what we call networking, which is people all along the way making a tiny bit of money, but it turns into something massive. And here's how you actually apply that in daily basis. And a lot of people don't think about this. But did anybody use a pencil today? Did anyone use a pencil today in the last 24 hours? Okay, absolutely. So Debbie did. Everybody else did not use anything. So Debbie is, the super literate. She's a writer. This is beautiful. Now a lot of the people are catching on. They're like, oh, I wrote today too. But we don't believe you. We just think you're jumping on the bandwagon with Debbie now. But so Debbie used a pencil. And here is what actually happened to make that pencil that you paid 25 cents for. somebody was mining in Chile, and somebody was processing graphite in a factory in Mexico, and somebody was grabbing the lumber out of another part of the world altogether, and somebody was putting this all together in a factory, probably somewhere else, which was then put on a boat that was also built in the same manner. It was brought over, and you get it for like 20 cents. Okay, and that's a result of networking. All of these things kind of fit together and develops a supply chain, and that's what we have to do. So that's why for those of you who in the beginning asked 20 times different questions related to why are the comp plans different, why is the approach different, and so on, this is why the approach is different. Because now what we're trying to do is not just bring people in to teach them. Now we're trying to develop the foundational vendor layers and things like that. So here's what we've already done. We already have hundreds of thousands of people, okay? We have already gotten hundreds of thousands of people who are awesome at selling, okay? That's what you all are. You all are awesome at selling. You're selling on eBay, on Amazon, Shopify, WooCommerce, all sorts of places. And you guys have sold well over $2 billion worth already, okay? So you guys rock. You're absolute rock stars. Now that we have already accomplished this goal, our second goal is to give these hundreds of thousands of people who are awesome at selling something to sell at a low price point and sell it in massive quantities and give them a huge range of things to sell. And that's where the next step comes in, which is develop the vendor networks so you guys can source your items from these networks. And if you guys have connections, you can also refer vendors to these networks. So that's the huge, gigantic piece. What do you think happens when we combine the two and it works together? Then we have our networks over here. In fact, you know what, maybe out of nostalgia almost, I will do the one thing that I used to do a long time ago, and I used to do it on many webinars. You guys might remember, the old timers here will probably remember. You remember the supply chain? You always have a manufacturer who sends stuff to a supplier, and then the supplier sends the stuff to a marketplace. And right now, for all of you, the marketplace is eBay, the supplier is Amazon. In some other cases, you can change the story and your marketplace is Amazon, your supplier is maybe Overstock or Wayfair or so on and so forth, right? Walmart, lots of different options. But you are basically participating in this process right now already. This is exactly what you guys are doing. And obviously your hope is you'll sell it on the marketplace for a higher price than the supplier cost, right? That's our aim. Now what we are trying to do is saying, listen, what if your supplier, instead of Amazon with a 10%, 20% profit margin, was instead INFINIi's vendor network, right? And what if your marketplace, instead of being just Amazon, eBay, and so on, was also stores provided by INFINii, right? So think of it as like a Shopify, but within INFINii. So you're taking all the training and all the tools and all the amazing things that you learned from DSD and learn in DSD, and you're applying that towards what you're getting with INFINii, which is the vendor networks, the stores, and all of the stuff. And this thing right here is evidence that this works. Because, I mean, shoot, we haven't even got out of December yet, and we are looking at thousands upon thousands of sales. I mean, look at this thing. It's nuts. So we haven't bragged about it too much. We haven't tried to make a big deal about it because our end goal, our big game plan here is to actually get all the networks in, all the vendors into our network. So now you suddenly have this giant thing playing together. And what do we want to do next? We want to attract a lot more sellers. Because if we get more sellers in the system, that means even more stores, and that means even more vendors. Because guess what? Why do people sell on Amazon? Can anybody give me an answer? Why do you sell on Amazon? The traffic. Beautiful. There you go. Rick got it on the first try. You sell on Amazon because they have the traffic, right? So you are a vendor on Amazon, and you go there because you have consumers, people buying stuff from you there. The same thing happens on eBay. You go to eBay because you have people buying stuff there. So if you have a store where people are buying stuff from you, you will go there. Therefore, vendors will come into the system because we control possibly the largest single group. You guys realize this? This team, the INFINii DSD team, the member base that we have represents pretty much the largest dropshipping community, the largest e-commerce community in the world. If you look at the core number of sales being made and so on. So the vendors are attracted very much because they really want that. They want a piece into this big giant network, this big giant market that we have, our member base. And our members really want them because that gives them more profit. And by providing a place for people to sell, again, the reason why we are creating INFINii stores is because those of you who are not able to sell on Amazon or not able to sell on eBay or are international and therefore have struggles there, you can all create these stores and sell there. But also because of the high profit margin, right? Because on your stores, your costs are what, 2% to 3% cost for selling something. But if you were selling something on Amazon and eBay, your costs are like 20%. So if you're buying items from the vendors and you're selling items in our ecosystem, your costs are low, your profits are high, and now we have developed a self-contained system. So basically, if we pull this off, if we do this the right way, we will be looking at something like a mix of Amazon and eBay existing in a network marketing community of some sort. It's going to be a very unique and fun thing to do. That's why we are doing it, right? It's a fun and unique thing to do. Obviously, if we pull this off in the right way, which right now we look to be on the right track, we actually have a European tour happening at the moment, then we would have succeeded, we would make a lot of money and all that stuff, but we would have succeeded in building something very unique, something that the market needs, that will bring hopefully a little bit more stability as well and give us a lot more control, right? And everybody wants that. So this is why we are doing this, and this is why all those questions that came in the beginning, why are you guys offering an affiliate co-op? Why are you guys trying to develop this? Why are you guys okay with taking all these costs? Why are you guys okay with doing a co-op and doing the whole Partner Plus system? And instead of selling it for $10,000 a month, which is, I'm serious, there are people who are selling that kind of a system for $5,000 to $10,000 and charging people monthly on top of that. Why are we giving it away for basically $10? This is why, because if we all bring the whole thing together, we end up creating something like this. So this is a very right time for this, because if you're selling on Amazon right now, you're going to begin to see over the next 6 to 8 months, this will really start tightening up a little bit on the FBA side of things. You're going to see a little bit more tightening up happening on the merchant fulfill side as well. Right now, Amazon is experimenting a lot with, you guys, who's familiar with merged listings? Who has used that before? Or has experienced that before? Okay, so 2 or 3 people, 4 or 5, okay, now suddenly all of them. So many have, many have not, but merged listings are basically situations where you have an item on Amazon that's doing well, and then Amazon decides to merge your existing listing, your listing with an existing listing, it merges them together into a single ASIN. And you'll get a notification, and Amazon will notify you, hey, we've merged your ASIN, we've merged your listings together, and suddenly the sales dry up. Maybe the new listing isn't as good. Maybe the reviews are bad. There are lots of different things that could have happened there, but that's a merged listing. Now, Amazon experimented with another thing, which are basically called comparative shopping listings. And this is where they're essentially combining listings together, okay, or combining sellers all on singular listings together. It's a really unique thing in some ways, but they're trying to improve the user experience, and they're saying, hey, listen, when something is extremely similar to another thing, when two things are almost exactly the same, maybe slightly different brand names, maybe, like 2 dog brushes, they're essentially the same thing, but they're just, different brand and whatnot. They're trying to show them on the same listing as a comparison, as together, and now suddenly you have all of these sellers who are losing the traffic that they were earlier getting on their listings. All of these things are part of the process. By the way, I can walk you guys through how to avoid that from happening or how to get over that. But this is one of the things that they are trying out. One of the reasons they're doing this is they're like how Google was at one point, right? Google had all these billions and billions of pages, and they were having a difficult time putting together all of that and making sense of all of that. So the same situation is happening with Amazon. They have so many products and so many things they're dealing with. They're trying to make sense of that. Their search engine is good, the algorithms are good, but they're still trying to make it more of a user experience. They're trying to upsell the user a bit more. All of that stuff is going on. In this process, you are going to see some of your listings take a hit. So you have got to understand that you have to diversify, and hopefully at the same time, there are going to be a lot of people, not you guys, because we will try and help you all through this process and keep you up to date on the changes that are coming. But you will also see a lot of the other sellers on Amazon, hopefully in some cases saying, let me find another place to go sell, and will be attracted to the concept of the marketplace and stores that we are putting out there. So same thing is hopefully going to happen on the Shopify side, right? Because Shopify, you have very high costs. You have people spending $200 to $300 a month. Who here has a Shopify store very quickly? All right, so those of you who do Shopify, you know that there are fairly high costs involved. I mean, at the medium tier levels and stuff, you are still below $100. But once you attach all the apps and once you attach all the other things, you can end up with higher costs. If you want the full package, the full benefits of it, you'll end up with slightly higher costs. So the idea is you probably attract people who want similar or same functionality and maybe some slightly better functionality in some cases, and they want it to be available for them for cheap. So we are actually going to be giving some stores away in INFINii inside as well. So for those of you who are considering that, that's another one of your benefits. But you will see a lot of people migrating to these other platforms. You will see them migrating out into other things. So one of the things that you guys should really be doing is preparing for that, because if that happens, and obviously I hope that it doesn't happen in that way, but if that happens, that will create a little bit of a vacuum suddenly, which you guys will be able to fill. So if you see things going down on your existing listings, do the 3 or 4 things that we discussed before. 1, list more and list with more diversity. 2, avoid listings where Amazon is the seller itself. You don't want to be on those listings because Amazon, through their vendors program, is going to outprice you, is going to prioritize itself. And it's the same thing that Google did, right? There came a point where it didn't matter how good you were at SEO and all that stuff. Google is going to give its own companies and is going to give itself higher priority than it would give somebody else. So that's just what's going to happen. So avoid listening to Amazon as the seller. If you see Amazon as the seller, quit playing the game with them. Okay, just move on. Get to other products. There are greener pastures out there. Identify products where price is not the primary criteria for buy boxes. Okay, so there's a slew of products out there where the lowest price wins pretty much when it comes to buy box. There's a whole other set of items out there where, and actually more than the other kind, majority of the items actually are of the kind where the primary criteria for getting the buy box is not the lowest price. When you identify items like that, do not lower the price. Keep your profit range high. Keep your product at a higher profit range. Make as much profit as you can per sale there. Obviously, like we have discussed, even in the training itself, keep your account held high. That's actually becoming more important nowadays in terms of if you're going to get the buy box, if you're going to be in the rotation, how long you're going to be in the rotation. And actually, it's also creating a difference now in how many people see your items. So let's say you created a listing and you're trying to rank that listing well. One big factor is what is Amazon going to show to the buyer who lands on their search engine, right? Who is searching. So imagine that I search for a bedding set of some sort, right? If I search for a bedding set, Amazon is going to look at my history and it's going to say, this guy pretty much only buys, well, actually my wife buying it instead of me, but for the sake of the argument, Amazon is going to say, this guy pretty much only buys prime items, pretty much only buys items that have rating of 4.5 or higher, pretty much only buys products that are in the certain range, in the product review range. And there are some other funny things that they might notice that we can never know. They might notice that I tend to buy from, and these are all accidental patterns. They might not be real patterns. I might not be doing that on purpose, but that might be the pattern of my purchases without me ever even realizing it. Maybe I'm purchasing items from people who are sellers based in California more. Don't know. That could be happening. So when Amazon shows me the results for searching something, it's going to take that into account. It's going to take my buying history into account, my search history into account, and it's going to show me items in that order. So I'm not talking about relevance score. The first thing Amazon will do will find out what are the things most relevant to my search query, but then it's going to organize them in that manner. That's why for a while you guys saw that #1 bestseller would always rank higher than everything else. And now that's not the case as much anymore. Now that's kind of equalized because other factors are being taken into account as well. So keep your account health high because that is also becoming a factor in the search results and the amount of traffic you get and the frequency of your rotation and how much you get the rotation time. This means going a little bit further when it comes to customer service in some cases, making an effort to get the feedback left on your sales, getting reviews left on your stuff as a seller. All of those things are going to be important. And like I said before, probably the most important thing is pruning and theme targeting. So this is very important. I really hope you guys keep this in mind. In fact, just 3 days ago, a person that you know very well, and I wish he was, actually let's check if he's on here. We've had him on calls before, Matt McCormick. You guys know Matt McCormick. Everybody knows Matt. I just went over this with him as well, where we basically pruned and targeted his account again because the sales were kind of in a slump. They weren't like dead or anything, but they were kind of trajecting downwards, and then we spiked it up again. What you're supposed to do is identify an overall theme for your store, an overall theme for the type of products you're going to sell, and prune your account. What that means is you go through and you find items that are not selling, you find things that are not doing well at all, and start getting rid of them. You don't leave them up on your account just for the sake of it. Just because you can have 10,000 listings doesn't mean you should. You start getting rid of them and you start putting on new items that are more related to your top sellers than your old items that you're getting rid of. And interestingly enough, we actually ran a comparison between an account with about 300 to 400 listings and compared it with another account that has about 50,000 listings. Okay, so totally different approaches, right? One is a shortcut approach, I'll list anything and everything. The other one is constantly pruning and targeting. And the crazy thing is that the account which is 300 to 400 listings actually makes almost roughly in the range of $500 to $1,000 more in sales per month. Okay, so they're very close to each other. I mean, and keep in mind that this is statistically kind of insignificant that it makes slightly more because we're talking about well over 100,000 a month in sales on both the accounts. But the smaller account not only keeps up, but often, most of the time, actually makes slightly more in sales. So this is evidence that it's not just about list all the time without thinking about what you're doing. Got a list and then go down this pathway. Okay, start out with the concept of I'm going to list my next item, but then be a little bit more careful. Choose products where you're going to have high profit margins. Choose products where the criteria is not the lowest price. Keep your account health very high. Avoid listings where Amazon is the primary seller because you're not going to compete with their price. You're not going to compete with them on buy box. You can, but it's just not worth it because I've seen people completely wiped out trying to compete with Amazon. There's just no point in doing it. And prune and target your items as much as you can, and that'll work out really well. And finally, let me add one more thing. The final thing that you should all be trying to do is don't underprice yourself. On eBay, this actually does have a good effect. I mean, by pricing yourself slightly lower than your competition, you will actually be more visible. You will do better because it's individual listings that are rated there and ranked there. In case of Amazon, if you are on a listing that has 4 other sellers, you don't need to underprice. You don't need to undercut them, but you don't need to underprice yourself where you're only making a couple bucks. Don't cut yourself short. Don't sell yourself short. Make sure that you try and match the price or even slightly higher if you need to. And like I said, if you choose the right products where the primary criteria is not the price anyway, then you're still going to get the buy box at the same frequency and you'll still do well. So hopefully this walks you guys through some of the ideas and so on. One thing that we're going to be trying to do a little bit more on and trying to identify, we'll be helping you guys with a couple tools that might help you identify where price is not the primary criteria for the buy boxes. A very simple way in which you can identify this is go to the item and see the top seller who has the buy box right now. And if that price is higher and Amazon is not the seller and it's not Prime, but the price is higher and there are then other sellers who are in rotation, you immediately know that that's not the primary criteria. Okay, so that's very straightforward. One of the tools that I've been working on is a system where it finds items and then it tells you if there are other sellers in rotation who are priced lower than the current buy box owner. That way you pretty much know that this product I'm going to get the buy box on as well, even if I'm not the cheapest price person there. So you'll be able to do that, but you can do it manually as well. Go check out a few items, look at the item, and if you identify that the lowest person does not have the buy box at the moment, that will work. Again, keep in mind, there is a lot of the buyer's history involved here. So if you're somebody who is very careful about only purchasing from Amazon or only looking at items where the price is the cheapest, then they're going to show you the buy box rotation in that manner as well. There's a lot of science behind how they actually do it. Who wants a webinar that's primarily just about the science of ranking and the science of getting the buy box? And maybe I can break down that stuff a little bit more for you guys. All right, so you know what? We will do a webinar that is pretty much entirely on the science of ranking your listings on Amazon and getting the buy box a little bit more than usual. And let me rephrase that. You're not going to get the buy box more than you can get it, but how to get the buy box without hurting your profit margins. Okay, so we will do both of those things. So we'll announce that hopefully here soon. But meanwhile, hopefully this gives you guys the big picture. Because all of these things are happening while we are still leveraging Amazon and eBay and generating a sales force for ourselves, make sure that you're keeping those customers, you're taking care of those customers. You have to be very, very protective about your customer databases. You want to make sure that you're able to establish some level of loyalty with them, because then you can bring them along. If the day comes that you have to go to a different sales platform, you have a chance to bring along 15-20% of them. And 15-20% of people coming along is enough for you to hit the critical mass in your new location, especially if your profits are higher. So actually, who uses Supremacy or something like it? Who is actually doing follow-ups with your buyers? Who does follow-ups and gives them special options and special coupons and things like that? Is there anybody who's currently doing that? Other than Norman, because Norman is like a great marketer, so he knows all the stuff. So this is very important, guys. You have to make sure that you follow up with your buyers. So let's say you have buyers coming in from eBay. Make sure you have automated messages going out to them, letting them know just a thanks for buying from us. Your store name needs to be included in that thank you. You need to tell them who you are. You need to give them something special if you can. And you can develop enough of a loyalty that you will be able to move them later. Okay. With Amazon, it's much trickier. Your only two methods of doing that, really, because they hate emails going out to their buyers, and Amazon itself does a very good job of keeping loyalty. You will have to either use postcards or you'll have to use phone follow-ups. Those are your pretty much only two options if you're going to be actively working on Amazon. If you have decided that you're moving on from Amazon, then there's other stuff that you can do too. But yeah, that's great, Kim. Kim has sales letters going out from her eBay store. That's very good. You also want to make sure that you follow up with each individual buyer instead of just with a newsletter. Personalization immediately after a sale is very important, because the best time to follow up with your buyer is right after they purchase something. So we'll cover all of this in another webinar as well. I'll go into more detail and walk you guys through some of this process. But we'll do a webinar on Amazon ranking and Amazon buy box stuff. We'll go into some detail there. And we will also go over the statistics of what we are doing in the background and where we are with our supplier networks and so on, so you guys can start using that as quickly as possible. But to come back to the beginning of all of this, where the idea is remember, this is what you need to take away from this webinar. Inexpensive, elegant, like Jeff White. That's everybody's goal. So what you want to do right now is basically go, okay, I would like to start developing teams or networks on the affiliate side or the partner side, and you can use the co-op for that, or you should be using the Partner Plus system for that, because that is probably the best thing that I've ever seen, personally speaking, just from my experience. And I'm not saying that because I built it, because I did it. It was all Kevin's doing. So this is me admitting that that's probably the best system I've seen, and Kevin has everything to do with it. So you should always be leveraging a system of some kind, right? So you pay eBay and Amazon money every month because you leverage them for traffic and you leverage them for sales. So Partner Plus works the same way. You actually pay less than the other platforms, but you're leveraging the platform for the traffic and the sales. So make sure you're using something like that. It doesn't have to be just Partner Plus, but something like that. And you should be leveraging every option you get, every chance you get to get traffic and to get leads. You should be using that to develop your own lists. That's very important. And once you hit a critical mass, the critical mass, guys, is something about 4,500 leads. And that's just from my experience and from experience of other people that I've spoken with. Roughly about 4,500 leads, you start getting enough. And as long as you still have traffic ongoing, you get to the point where your number of unsubscribes, if you're sending decent content on a usual basis and your bounce rate and stuff, will be lower than your new subscriptions coming in. And this is when you will just start growing and growing and growing. And if you take care of them and you don't just keep blasting them and selling them nonsense all the time and keep promoting something to them or something, you will start developing a very strong community and a team out of that. And that's really what you want to do. As you keep going further and further, you start developing a very strong team and likely will end up in a position where you are generating well over $1 per month per subscriber. Okay? That's essentially where that really changes gears. Now, if you go further and you really go into full out automation and list hygiene and all that kind of stuff, you can earn much more than $1 per month per subscriber. If you really target down to only your buyers and working just with them, you can earn a lot more than that. I had a list of 726 people. I will always remember this, 726 people, and my monthly average per user on that list was $58. Okay, so I was making $58 per subscriber per month for the people who were on that list because those were my very special buyers. So I treated them in very different ways too. Very cautious with them, very careful to make sure very high value, 1 promotion, 2 promotions at most, right? This was very careful with that. So you will start hitting those levels. So just like on your eBay and your Amazon accounts, you're always looking to get good feedback, good ratings, get to that point where you are naturally a trustworthy person selling stuff on those platforms. You do the same thing over here. That's just how list building works. So you start building your list, you start building a network, and before you know it, you have a very strong business going from there. Because if you just look at this right here is paying you $4,500 a month in profit. And that's a very, very good thing if you can get to that point. A lot of people will get to that point, and that's when they start looking into, should I launch my own courses? Should I become somebody else? Should I move on? All of those things happen when you kind of get to that stage where you start making a full-time income just from your list. So that should be one of your goals on the partner side, because you don't want to rely forever on a third-party platform that you don't have control over. You don't have control over Amazon and eBay and what they do tomorrow. So you want to make sure that you maintain this, that you start building this at the same time. The same way, you should be building lists of your customers on eBay and Amazon and so on. One thing that you should consider, and I can give you guys many examples, but one of the great examples that I'm aware of is an individual who is a good friend now and does about $30 million per year in sales on one very specific niche. And what he did was he started out, he sold everything. He sold all sorts of stuff on eBay. Okay, this is a guy who started out with eBay only. Sold a bunch of stuff on eBay, and I'm talking about, like 9 years ago, like way in the early days of eBay. Sold a bunch of stuff on eBay and did a lot of buying. Like he would go to big stores that were shutting down, and he would just buy out their inventory and stuff. Did a whole lot of that during the recession, the big recession in 2007 and 8 and so on. And essentially then identified for himself a primary niche where he realized that majority of my buyers really fall under this one category. So he identified really a theme or a niche, okay? And he then went ahead and started sourcing items, went to the manufacturers, got the manufacturers involved, and started buying directly from them, dumping it all on eBay, selling it on his own website, selling it at local events and so on. And at this point is doing almost $30 million a year in sales. Okay, very, very strong ratio there. And I can also tell you that his profit margin is between 18 to 21% for the most part. That's a very strong profit margin as well. That's $6 million profit per year. You don't really get a whole lot better than that when it comes to a self-started business. that he started with not much money at all, and totally different at this point. So the process that he used, you need to be using as well, in that you need to identify your customers, target on, focus on specific niches, focus on specific themes, and keep building out in that manner. And as you keep going and going, it'll just become very, very strong. So does that make sense? Does that overall strategy make sense to you guys? Very good. Wonderful. So I'm glad everybody follows along with that. So maybe what we should do is one of two things. We'll go a little bit over, well, I already went into a lot of detail of the Springboard side and the affiliate co-ops and stuff. Does anybody have questions about or wants to see how to leverage Partner Plus properly that Kevin built?
I'd actually like to also, Hitesh, I don't know if this is the right time, but I really want to spill the beans on what we got coming down the pipeline in the next few weeks.
I was thinking about that.
There's some very specific things that we're addressing, some very specific problems in our industry that we're about to address. Should we spill the beans on that?
I would not name anything, but I would go through some of the process. Yeah.
Okay. Can you clear your paint, because we're going to need it?
Well, why don't you get? You want to use something? Do you want to?
I just want to walk through, a low end offer into a system that does something very specific to help them build.
Okay. Very quickly, you know what I'm going to do though is I'm just going to grab this because there are people who are asking for this write-up. So guys, you'll get this write-up. Don't worry. I have this saved. So there we go.
So while he's doing that, there's when you look at doing and this is for the affiliates and for the partners and the folks that are looking to drive traffic on, to capture pages, generating leads, and then getting some upfront cash flow and then building out their residual income as time goes by. I mean, that's pretty much the formula, right? Sell something at a low price so you can do that first thing, which is to get someone to pull out their wallet, okay? Number one. Number two, it needs to be very high commissioned, very profitable in the front end. So it's got to be something that that is either your product, where you're making 90% of what comes in the door, or a product that has been tested and is known to convert and known to work, that you are getting 90% or 85, 90% commissions would be a dream, okay? And that would be the front end of the system. So what we're doing is we're doing just that. We're building you guys out something that you can promote on the front end. That's one, high converting. So you make more money per person that comes to your capture pages and your sales pages. Number two, pays a very high commission on the front end so that you can get money in your pocket very, very quickly. And then number three, does what you need them to do if they're going to be joining your network marketing company. Can anyone guess what the perfect person joining your network marketing company would have? Can anybody guess that? And I'll answer while you're guessing. They would have knowledge on how to build a business. Okay, because what you're looking for is to have somebody come in that has the tools and the training and everything they need to really, when they engage in your primary business opportunity, they blow it out the water. They're able to do that because they have the system, because they have a high-end converting front-end offer, because they're getting that training, and because they can duplicate in your teams. And if you don't have that, it's very difficult to really scale and grow. So we're building a system that does all that. That gives you something that has a high commission on the front end, that is a low ticket and a low entry point, so you can get as many people as possible to pull out their wallet and go ahead and buy. And then you're also giving them a way to get into a platform and learn how to market, how to build a list, how to basically duplicate for you. And then they're introduced to your business opportunity and something that's branded to you. So that's a system that we've been working on for a very, very long time in various stages and what we wanted to do with it. And we actually tested out something like this before. And it went something like this. somebody went to a capture page and they created an account. When they created an account, and this is really, for those of you who have been around for a while, this is really the history actually of DS domination, if you want to get into it. So we had a system that was very low barrier to entry. They could get in there and they could start generating an income, and there was 3 steps involved. And those 3 steps were, one, something that they could do very, very simply, very easy and very cheap. Okay? And it converted like crazy. The next thing was what would become and what did become DS domination. And the next thing was a network marketing company that had nothing to do with the other two. It was like, this one thing is not like the others. So we ran that system and it was insanely successful. And then we took the highest converting thing and turned it into DS domination. And that's really how DS domination began. So what we're doing now is we're building out that system and that platform that gives you something to promote that doesn't have the name DS domination, doesn't have the name INFINii on it. It's its own separate thing. And you'll be able to promote it for a very low front-end cost, but generating insanely high commissions that we haven't seen in this industry in quite some time. Okay? And that gives you the ability to build your list, get profitable with your list, and get people into your teams that already know what they're doing and have that same exact system. Solves pretty much every problem that comes along with internet marketing. And it's dynamic in the way that we can change the front end whenever we want to make sure you have multiple funnels and multiple entry points to grow your business. That's what we're building. And like I said, we've been doing this for a very long time. We've been doing this for a very long time in that kind of platform, and that's really what we always kind of gravitate back to, because when you're growing a business online, those are the components you need. So we need to give you something that can hit on all those components and touch all those different things and make sure it's being tested and traffic's being driven to it by myself, by Hitesh, and we're running these things all the time. And make it so this whole thing can be automated. And how do we automate a company like that? How do we automate that? We automate that by having ongoing co-ops, all right, so that people will be able to come in, get the system, get the traffic, get the training, and then get into your business and even earn an income. For those of you who are on here who are INFINii, even earning an income without having to have even gotten it on the auto ship, without even having to be at the prime level, okay? And so it's very, very low barrier to entry. And this is what we're doing for you. And it's happening very, very quickly. So these are all the things that we've got going on. And you'll see this stuff come out very, very soon. When I say very soon, we're talking days is when we're looking to do this. Because, like I said, we've been building that for a how long have we been building that system, Hitesh? Maybe a year. We built it maybe a year ago, and we just hadn't launched it yet.
Well, we built the original version 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, 3.5 years ago was it was funny because I remember that was one of the first opt-in pages that I built with Kevin in it, and it was the floating one, and it was crazy because there were all these people who were like, why is this picture floating? Like, they hadn't seen anything like that. Even now it's kind of novel. But we built this page that had Kevin in it, and it was, if I remember, the headline was something to the effect of copy-paste software takes Air Force Sergeant from something to something.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And it was a picture of Kevin with his screenshot floating through. And funny enough, it was actually a screenshot of the promo that I ran for the training, the eBay training at the time. And then we have the system. So we have this team. Yeah. And here's the thing, guys. Here's what's interesting. So that system we put out 3 years ago, there was one very unique component of it, and that's the very unique component that we haven't seen any other company ever even try to replicate for some reason. We made it customizable. What that meant was that you could go in and you could change out what step 2 and 3 were for people that you would then get in the traffic, right? So you could make people, you could tell people to do something completely different from what we were telling them to do because it was your funnel, right? So to date, we still have people using that system, okay? Like, we haven't been running it actively, but people are still using it today. Yep. And people are still driving traffic to it on YouTube and stuff like that. It's very interesting to watch because most people did not even know that we were behind it. Most people probably still don't know we are behind it, but it exists out there. I mean, it's crazy how many companies we're involved in. But then there's that system we took, and then we modernized it. We kind of upgraded some of the functionality, and we added in the whole function, the idea of automated co-ops, where the traffic is constantly running, and you just kind of, it's like a stream going beside you, and you just jump in, and that's it. You don't have to do anything. It just carries you where you need to go. So we add that in, and this thing has been built out and been in this just a stage of it's ready to go, and we've just been kind of holding it back so far. And now that we have our product co-ops working well, our traffic co-ops are working really well, and we have our network concept in place, the networking concept that we needed to build that vendor network. Now that we have all of those things in place, we are about to turn that out, we're going to let that loose, and I'm pretty excited because the last time we did this in a big way, we generated 9 million visitors.
Yeah.
So this time around, we are about to do that at a bigger scale, I think. So
well, and 9 million visitors for the members that were on the platform, which is really, really cool. And what I'm really excited about, guys, there's a lot of, it seems like and we see this in the U.S. market. I'm just going to speak frank. Every day there's, every week there's a new flavor of the day, and people hop in there and they think the results are going to be different, and they go, this is it, this is my last thing. And then, 2 months later, they're back at starting point one, and they got to go look for something else. And you see that happening over and over and over again. So what we're looking for is to give you the last thing that you need to promote, and something that'll be, something that you can promote online, something that will convert high and gives you money in your pocket quickly, gets profits immediately, and you can scale it, and you can grow your income, and you can get the traffic for it. So we're really excited about that. Very excited about that. And this will be in the next few days. You guys will start hearing more and more about this, because it'll be a way for you to get some really quick money in your pocket when you go out there and promote it and see what we're doing. It'll be a very, very fast money in your pocket, which is something that I think the industry is lacking right now. Even the companies that used to go out there and do insanely high commissions on the front end had to scale that back. Well, what if the owners of the company said, we just don't care? All we want to do is run the system and give it to the folks to use. And that income, the commissions were so high that the owners didn't make any money off of it, but oh my goodness, so many people got to benefit from it. What if that happened? What if that happened? And that's what's happening. So it's just cool. It's really cool, and it's the thing that I would like to promote on the front end, and it's going to be in your hands in the next couple of, I don't want to say days, but it could be as early as next week. And we'll send you guys out some info, but you'll love it, and it'll be a way for you to grow this and get traffic and get leads and get the training that you need. And you keep hearing us talking about INFINii Network, INFINii Network, INFINii Network, right? You guys have heard us say a lot of that, and I got a lot of updates that I'm rolling out in there today. And that'll be a component in there, and that'll be a component of where you guys can get involved in that, even if you're not in INFINii, right? Even if you're in DS and you're not in INFINii and you don't, you'll be able to get involved in that and be able to learn from that entire community, because we have some amazing people there just helping each other, and lead generation and traffic generation, all the kinds of stuff that we're doing over there. So you'll be able to get involved in that with the system as well, and that's really going to help you out just so much to be around this community of people who are doing this stuff active and growing their business. So yeah, and that, Kirk just asked, is that Partner Plus? When I say, and I want to just clear this, when I say INFINii Network, that is the Partner Plus inside of INFINii. That's the platform that it's housed on, right? INFINii Network is the Partner Plus system, but it's about to go beyond a bunch of things. It's about to transcend some stuff and give you ways to customize it that you can't really do out there. And we're about to be doing a lot of training in there that you just don't see out there because it's over the shoulder. And in order to do that, I would really like to have something really cool to promote on the front end as well into the system, and that's where you're going to be able to get on this next system that we're launching out, that we've been working on for oh so long, that we're bringing back to you because it's needed in the industry now. Right? So enough ranting on that. Just know that in the next couple of days, you're going to be hearing more about this and how you guys can do this, and you're going to be able to see more. Doug, you hit the nail on the head. You'll be seeing more about the co-op inside of INFINii, the co-ops inside of DS, and how that all ties into this. Because at the end of the day, here's what you need to be able to do. Get into a system that explains everything to you. Check. Get paid income when you share that system. All right. High-end income. Right. We're talking about pushing 90% of what comes in the door goes into your pocket. Okay, so that you can drive traffic, and when you spend $1 and make $1, you can go reinvest that dollar to make more money. All right, but you also need to be able to train your teams and get them into a community that's going to drive them somewhere, and that's where INFINii Network is going to come into play for you. It'll be a step in there that you'll be able to have INFINii Network in there. People can get in the Facebook groups. They can learn to get on the live training calls. They can learn how to market and leverage the system with capture pages and sales pages that are going to actually convert and make them money on the front end. Number 3, you need a way to drive them into your primary business. Check. You can actually customize it. You can put DS back there. You can put INFINii back there. You can put whatever you want back there, right? Whatever you're doing. It's just this is a portal in a way to give you the opportunity to grow your business very, very quickly instead of running traffic and waiting 6 weeks for a commission to come down, and it's a lower commission than what the system could possibly do for you because it'll be so high. So we're very excited about this, and very excited about rolling this out to you guys. So just keep your eyes out, keep your eyes focused on what we're doing because it's going to help you out tremendously. Cool. If you don't know how to market, man, I love this question, Greg. Greg asked, what if you don't know how to market? That's where the co-ops come into play. Okay, that's where the co-ops come into play. So if somebody doesn't know how to market, you definitely want to learn that stuff as time goes by, and you'll be able to because we're going to teach you how to do that, and we're already teaching people how to do that. But really, you need a way to where you can get started without having to learn that, right? I mean, you need to be able to get in there, push a button, and then sit back, walk away from the computer and come back tomorrow and see that you've got sales and you've got leads and you've got things going on. That has to happen for you, and that's what the system does for you. Awesome. And yes, Phyllis, it is Kevin. So pretty cool, pretty cool. I'm excited to see what you guys do with this. I'm excited to show you what I'm going to do with it and what Hitesh is going to do with it. So this is going to be coming out here pretty soon, and we'll get you guys some more details. I know we're being kind of cryptic about it, but if we put it out there and we just put out the if we just say, hey, this is where it is, go, you can see it, people start going to the URL, they'll start checking it out, they'll start going win. And I just want to leave it at, for a lot of you on here that are on the affiliate side and the network marketing side that want to generate leads and traffic, the game's about to change for you and what you're able to do on the front end and how much money you're able to make. And in a way that's a lot more automated. So those of you who don't know about marketing, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to coming into it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I like that. I'm sorry?
Nope, I was going to say, do we have any questions left that we haven't honored, that we haven't answered yet?
I've seen you in there answering them all. Let's see. It's funny, Carl asks, is there going to be some one-on-one coaching? As close as I can get to that inside of the INFINii network is what we'll do. As close as I can get to that, because I don't actually do one-on-one coaching, and I'll tell you why. If I were to take the time and teach one person it, then I might as well just go ahead and teach 100 people or 1,000 people, and just benefit more folks. So I kind of stay out of that.
So, if I can clarify a very important point to you guys, okay? Because absolutely one-on-one coaching can help. Okay, it can absolutely help, but it can only help you when you are using something, or you're doing something, or building something that is not a duplicable system to begin with, right? Our whole concept, the way we operate is that we want to build duplicable systems. right? So, for example, a Springboard co-op is a duplicable thing. Sourcing from marketplace to go on stores is a duplicable thing. But telling somebody go get items and just list them, that's not duplicable, because there are going to be certain factors that they have to be taught, certain factors that you might have to look at. You might have to look at somebody's account and say, well, here are the 3 things that you messed up. Now, this happens a lot. I mean, everybody in online business talks about duplication, right? Because that's important. But nobody talks about the core issue behind duplication, which is a system that can actually be duplicated. So there are 3 components in any system, okay, that have to be taken care of. And without those 3 things, it doesn't work. You have conversion, which is a function of the funnel itself, okay? By the way, guys, this is literally, like what I'm covering right now is like the handbook of Amazon. When Amazon tells their designers and developers and everybody else what needs to be on their site and how it needs to look, this is what they're aiming for as well. So don't think in your mind that, oh, this is a different concept or a different thing. It's the exact same thing you guys are doing right now. Conversion is a function of the look and function of site or the page that somebody's on. Okay, how does it look? What does it say? What does it do? That will drive the conversion rate. Okay, most people will fail right here. I can guarantee right now on this call, 90% of the people literally do not want to go through the process of creating a website or even a page and optimizing that and doing the copywriting and learning all the conversion factors. Okay, the second factor is traffic. Okay, and we will go at this point from the 90% who didn't want to do the first piece, we will go to about 96% who don't want to do the second piece or can't do it successfully. Traffic is basically a function of driving visitors to the page above, okay, the page above, which is the conversion page that we just built. And obviously for traffic to be successful has to be ROI positive. And then the final piece in all of this, after the conversion and the traffic, is the big issue, the big piece of long-term customer value or long-term value. We call it the lifetime value attribute, LTV. But this one is all about following up and providing options and helping the customer through the process, the client through the process. All of those things fall under this. Okay, so we can call this essentially a function of follow-up. The reason people fail is these 3 are hard to pull off individually. They're nearly impossible to pull off in a big way together. Most people cannot do these 3 things properly. That's why people fail in network marketing companies as well, because network marketing companies do usually have a high converting niche or an industry or an idea, right? But then for driving traffic, they tell you get on the phone and call people or drive traffic however, and then they tell you to follow up with them. And 95% of the people could not do this no matter what. So for something to be duplicable, these 3 things have to be taken care of. These 3 things have to be done in the form of something like a buyer's club. That's why we keep saying that when it comes to building systems, our whole concept is to build something truly duplicable. So you can duplicate things when we tell you here's a product that's going to sell for a certain price, and here is the market for it. In this scenario, we create the pages, we are driving the traffic, and we are doing the follow-up. So all you have to really do is participate and complement that process. Okay? If you drive your own traffic, you will probably get higher profit margins. If you do your own follow-up, you'll be able to do additional things. The only good thing that we give you guys here, which is completely unique and very different from everything else, is customization of these 3 steps, where you can essentially, after the traffic step, you can start to customize what happens with this user now, what happens with this person now. And that's the big piece that's kind of a game changer in this particular field. So we have the thing that Kevin is talking about, this whole thing that he's very excited about, and I am, and hopefully you guys are as well, is us basically doing all 3 things and giving them to you. That's what Springboard is as well. Unfortunately, there are constraints on how well you can do it with a physical product, right? There's a limited amount of space, there's a limited amount of physical products, there's a limited amount of profit. But more than that, there are certain legal challenges, which I'm going to be speaking very frankly, just like Kevin. There are certain legal challenges in how does somebody promote something. So when people come in, and asking you all not to do this. When people come in and they promote the Springboard concept, for example, as and we know in some cases it's competitors and it's people who are jealous and it's people who just can't stand seeing somebody succeed or somebody do something unique. There are people like that, but when they come in and people start promoting it as, oh, just put your money in and get your money out, and it has nothing to do with real e-commerce, it becomes a legal issue. It sets a precedence that we cannot continue promoting or talking about this because it's going to be perceived that way. And we have to go through and define everything and put everything in a way that people understand this is a buyer's club where you're buying products and selling them on Amazon. In fact, we have every single order, the date, the time, the order ID from Amazon, and so on and so forth. But these are the things that we have to be careful about. One of the reasons why we are so excited about this piece that we're putting out is it does all of the functions of Springboard. It doesn't have the issue of those claims, and because it's digital, it doesn't have the issue of being a physical product. And when you combine that with the Buyer's Club, which is the Springboard, you suddenly have a very, very unique thing where you have the same concept on the partner side that you have on the product side, and we expect that it will be, it can take off. It will do really well. It'll have to, because we're going to do what we did before. We're going to drive 8 to 10 million people ourselves, and at that point, it's going to have to. So anyways, that's basically the explanation of why a lot of people come and say, hey, let me give you coaching, let me spend some time with you, and so on and so forth. But unless there's a duplicable system in the background, in the end, it only relies on your efforts. In this case, this relies on your customization and your complementing of this overall process. So a very different style of a system compared to what you usually see out there. So hopefully you guys will be very excited when you see it, and you're excited about it right now. And you will get an email. If you're a previous ticket buyer, you will get an email from us with the DSD co-op for products, with the DSD product for affiliate, co-op for affiliate. And if you are a part of Partner Plus at the moment, if you already have Partner Plus, then you already have access to the best system with the autoresponder built in, with the opt-in pages built in, with the sales funnel built in, as well as now the traffic and leads built in. So you guys already have access to that stuff. And Kev, when is the next Partner Plus webinar?
Thursday.
So on Thursday, you guys will actually start being able to participate in the co-op on the INFINii side as well. So if you guys are looking for one of the two or both of them, that's all you have to do. You just have to make sure you're on the Thursday webinar so you understand how it works, and you can start scaling up with it very quickly.
Yeah, Thursday is going to be a big day for us over at INFINii Network. We've got a lot going on. There's going to be some traffic that I'm going to start running between now and then walking over where I went to get that traffic, how I did it, and then moving forward to the co-op and giving folks the chance to get on the co-op and walking them through all that. So Thursday's going to be a long one, and it's going to be a lot of people getting some really cool value from us. And
hey, very important, if I can please draw a distinction between the DSD co-ops and the INFINii co-ops, the INFINii Network co-op. There is one very important distinction that I want to make sure you guys are aware of. Okay, it's not negative on either side, but it's important for you to know it. In DSD co-op, the leads that we generate are loaded into our Aweber account, the company Aweber account. We follow up with those leads automatically. Okay, so the leads are in DSD Aweber account. We follow up and we give you the leads on the Aweber leads page. Okay. On the INFINii Network side, INFINii Network also has a built-in autoresponder already. So you get that autoresponder basically free of cost with that $10 included. So in the INFINii Network side, leads are in your INFINii Network account. We follow up, but you are also able to follow up and send broadcasts and so on and so forth. You're able to do all of those things, so you're in more control over those leads immediately. In DSD side, when we run the co-op, we generate the leads and we run the same follow-up, but the follow-up goes to, the leads are in our account. You'll have to move them to your account. Okay, so if that is a distinction, if that is a concern in any one of your minds, hopefully you can make that distinction and pick out the one that you want to go with. If you don't have an autoresponder and you want to get one, and you're looking for the training and you're looking for the whole system, that's what INFINii Network is. INFINii Network is the same thing as Partner Plus with INFINii. Okay, it's the exact same thing. So that's included there. If you are in DSD and you're an affiliate, then you don't have the Partner Plus side. That's totally fine. People have made millions, $500,000 to $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 on the DSD side without that already. Okay, so it's not like we are saying that you absolutely need it, but you need to be aware of where the leads go there. Okay, so I just want to make sure that thing is absolutely certain, absolutely clear to you guys, and there are no confusions. Okay, does everybody understand the difference in how the leads are treated?
I do.
Perfect, very good. Okay, how about a webinar on the very best email follow-up campaign? You know, Bill, just attend the INFINii Network trainings that happen, and all of the stuff is in there. And actually, not only do we have training videos on that and have Kevin doing a lot of the classes and webinars on it, I'll probably be doing a webinar specifically on copywriting and follow-ups, so you guys can get that as well. How do we get INFINii? How do we get INFINii in? How do we get the information on INFINii for drop shipping? You log into your INFINii account. It kind of goes like this. Okay, so this is what your INFINii account looks like, and I'm very surprised at the question in some ways, because if you go to product and let's say you are a Prime member and go to training, then you have all the training you could want, starting with training on how to sell on eBay, to selling on Amazon, to selling on Bonanza, to how to sell if you're international, to how to use the special tools, and then all of our trainings are in here as well. So all of this stuff is right here at the Prime level. So you really shouldn't be looking for more training or be worried about more training, where to get that. And yeah, we will be putting this webinar's recording in your back office as well. Okay. Norman wants to know about the SEO training. If you want more SEO training and how to rank faster and get better results, you actually go to Advanced eBay Training, Advanced Analytics, Self-Managed Platforms, and all the stuff, which is under Surge Training. So you'll be able to get a lot of that stuff. Plus, I will be doing additional separate training on just pure SEO, which is ranking and getting traffic from Google, Bing, and other places like that. And we'll also be doing some training on running PPC campaigns and stuff like that. Kevin already has some really good training on that. In Partner Plus, I'll be doing some on the e-commerce side with that as well. So this stuff is already back there. Okay, and the question about, I don't have a sponsor, what do I do? If you don't have a sponsor, just please open a support ticket and say, I do not have a sponsor and I would like to be in INFINii, what should I do? And we will guide you the right and proper way. We will usually assign a good sponsor to you who will be working with you and helping you out. So if anybody feels like that or anybody needs help, please let me know. And Norman, I'll address your question. It's fine, it's off topic. When do we get the certification with the masterclass? It's actually a very pretty certificate that we get. I've seen it because I worked a little bit on the design with it. It's very pretty, and you'll be able to get that after you finish your first Prime examination. And that Prime examination will come after the new masterclass sequence runs, which you'll be good for. Okay, so I think that addresses everything. Carol asks, is that the training with Igor? No, that is not the training with Igor. The one with Igor was about solo ads and getting traffic very quickly and good traffic, and we actually did a kind of deal with him as well. Kevin worked out something magical with them. But there's a whole lot more, guys. Igor is one piece in one section of a very, very large overall thing.
What's on Thursday, actually, we're going to get into some Bing pay-per-click. So Thursday, we're getting into Bing pay-per-click as well as how to get spots on the solo or on the co-op as well. So it's going to be a two-pronged training. And the way I'm doing it, guys, is not from a standpoint of here's my account and here's what I did and yada yada yada. It's let's go ahead and start and make a new account and let's ramp this up, and then we'll start walking through how I do that, so you guys can see live how that stuff is done. Okay, so we'll do a 10,000-foot view, and then we'll bring it back down to, I made a campaign, this part failed, this part succeeded, don't use this keyword, right? So we'll get into all that. So pretty cool. Yeah, look over the shoulder. And Norman, do me a favor, what's your email address? Put that in, can you put that in there for me? That would be wonderful. Thank you, sir. All right, beautiful. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time, guys. I would not miss that Thursday webinar. I'll kick you guys an email for those of you guys who are inside of INFINii Network. You really don't want to miss that one. It's gonna be so much info going on, and then we're actually gonna start with we're actually going to start doing a couple of things that I talked about. Actually, let me grab the screen real quick so I can show them what I talked about.
You absolutely may grab the screen. There you go.
Thank you.
And guys, can I just address one, because the second I mentioned the sponsor situation, we have like 20 comments about I don't have a sponsor, or my sponsors, or things like that. If you don't have a sponsor and you're going to be joining INFINii or looking to join INFINii and things like that, please send a support ticket, and we will place you, not to ourselves. Okay, we are not looking to like grab people or something like that. There are some very, very good people who work very hard and provide a lot of support with their teams, and we will make sure that you guys are placed with somebody like that.
And the crazy thing is, a lot of times you'll find that that's already the case, and they just haven't been connected. So it's you know what I mean? You find out that the sponsor that you have isn't doing anything. But if we look and we take a look and we see that 4 people up, there's this rock star banging it out, all we got to do is get you connected with them. And it's a lot of times more cut and dry than you would think. It's a lot of times just looking at the upline and seeing who's upline and who's upline and who's, oh, there you go. You got Jeff there. Let's get you guys connected, right? So let's we can do that for you too. All right, so can you guys see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Perfect. All right, let me move this out of the way. So this is what we're basically, if I were to give you a real quick, hey, this is what we're doing over the next few weeks. All of this stuff, okay? Mastering INFINii Network. We're going to be getting into how you can master the actual platform, which it's not difficult, but as I get questions, right now I'm the only one monitoring the support desk for INFINii Network. It has its own support desk. I'm the only one that monitors it. And I do that for a very specific reason, because I want to know what the questions are, because that's going to help me do things like teach you how to master the platform by answering those questions in videos. Back to the basics, ABCs. You know, we're getting into autoresponders, okay? Autoresponders. What's an AWeber? What's a get response? What's an autoresponder? What's some of the terminology we use? What's the difference between a lead and an opt-in? Is it the same thing? Sure it is, but people don't know that, and some folks don't know that, and so we got to keep that in mind, and we have to teach them that stuff. So getting back to the basics, be a lot about how to use domain names, how to use autoresponders, you know, setting up a blog if that's the way you want to go. Just basic things that, you know, I look at and say, oh, that's basic. But in reality, it wasn't always basic for me, right? It's basic now. It's basic now because I know how to do it. But it wasn't always basic. It was, at one time, it was very advanced to me. So let's go ahead and teach that. Okay, the ad vault. This is going to be really cool because as I go out there, we had some solo ad training. And the question is, are there more solo ad vendors? Who are they? What are they? I'm going to start placing some ads with solo ad vendors, and I'll pop in my results. You know, hey, placed with this one, got this many clicks, this many leads. This is what happened here. Solo advertising as a whole, and this is going to span a lot of different marketing strategies. You know, we might even get into an ad I place, like a banner on a particular website, or a native ad, or something along those lines as well, or a Facebook campaign that went well or that didn't go well, right? And teach you guys how to do this. Solo advertising is, you know, part of the foundations there. We had Igor on. We went through 2-hour training with that. It was great. We had a blast on it. A lot of people got some good value out of it, and then we got them a deal on getting traffic. Bing pay-per-click. This is something that most people teach, and they teach it from a horrible, horrible standpoint of, this is what I did 7 years ago, not what I'm doing right now. So we're going to go ahead and teach this in live. We'll do the 30,000 foot view training, but then we'll get into live sessions where we teach you how to promote, okay? And how to generate traffic and leads and sales from Bing pay-per-click. Live training, this is just our live training tab. So if you were to click on this, you would see a webinar for this Thursday. Video marketing, we're going to get into video marketing because it's huge. As Trump would say, it's huge, it's huge. And, and I'll tell you what, it doesn't have to be you standing in front of a camera, right? It can be just a, just a PowerPoint slide that you go ahead and edit that I do for you and that I cut live on the webinar while we do it. And we actually did that where we cut that webinar, we cut that training, and you can see it right here. It was an orientation. It's 46 minutes. I actually cut, if I were to start this, I actually cut a training and did a webinar on live. Who here was on this call? Who here was on this webinar? Was anyone on this? That was fun, wasn't it? We had a good time. We made some. We made a video, and then I went ahead and showed them how I would cut that training, and then gave them that PowerPoint slide that I used so they could make some more. And oh my gosh, I have a ton of support tickets that I haven't had a chance to view because I've been working on issues and things of that nature, making sure everyone has what they need from a functionality standpoint, and seeing what I need to be doing for ABC and some of these other things. But I'll tell you what's really cool. Is I got so many videos to go over. I have hours of videos that I get to now sit down and watch that people have posted, and I get to go, look at them and then provide feedback for them because they're just rock stars and took this and did it. And they just download this PowerPoint slide and did the video just as I did in this video as well. So very exciting. Lots of cool stuff going on with INFINii Network and what we're doing over there. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then just an amazing group of people too, guys, just so you know. So, yeah, and that's that. But that's what we got. When you guys keep hearing about Partner Plus and INFINii Network, and this is what we're talking about, this marketing system here. So, yeah. And Hitesh, we got a bunch of people asking, like, how can they get in it when they're in DS? So we're going to have to map that out for them and maybe kick them out email.
Yep, put that page up again that we had before. Actually,
which one?
Could we use the auth join partner thing?
That would get them in, wouldn't it?
I think it would, because that way they don't have to pay for anything else.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's why don't we run through and test that out, and then I'll go ahead and kick an email out to everybody. But I'll tell you what, a lot of this stuff is going to be hooked. You guys are going to get hooked up. Actually, who is I'll tell you what. Here's what we can do, guys. If you want to get access to this like ASAP, just open up a support ticket, and I'll go in there and monitor those tonight and make sure you guys get it. In the DSD side, just open a support ticket. And it would get you access. Also, as we move forward, and we that system that we were alluding to earlier, we were kind of cryptic about. That's going to be huge for you guys, and again, that's going to be coming out pretty soon too. So, yeah. Norman, he's crazy. Love this guy.
Yeah, in a good way.
You can be in either or both if you want to, Karen. It's up to you. Well, INFINii Network is actually like $10, guys.
Well, technically 20 because it includes the 10 for affiliate. So
true.
Just like in DSD, you have $10 for affiliate. In INFINii Network, you have the $10 for affiliate, and then it's $10 for the whole system. Okay, again for the new 8, 9 questions about do we need to be in one or the other, and so on and so forth. It is entirely your choice. You can be in both, in DSD and in INFINii, you can be in just one. You can be using just the Partner Plus in INFINii and using DSD for the tool set and the training for the tracking stuff. So you have all the configurations available. You guys can just choose whichever one you would like. Is the system different for INFINii than DSD? Yes, they're very, very different systems overall. And then what's the INFINii website? It's infinii.com. And so the marketing system, Kev, I think the link that I just alluded to, the auth join partner thing, I think that would work.
Okay, we can give it a shot. I mean, what'll happen is if they have any issues, they'll open up a ticket and I'll take care of it. But just out of curiosity, guys, just pop in here if you're in INFINii Network. If you're in, let me know if you like it or not. Just put love it, hate it, doing good, can't stand you, Kevin.
We got like 80% of them saying they can't stand Kevin.
Yeah. How could you resist and not put that? I mean, with that question, to be honest. Let me see. Beautiful. There's a lot of folks in here that are on this.
Yep. Because they like you.
No.
Here, I'm just going to take a screenshot of it so people can see what people are saying about Kevin, K-Bean.
Someone said they can't understand you.
I can't understand myself either, so that
yeah.
you're in good company.
It's funny.
So you can see this is what people are saying about Kevin.
About the system.
Note also that everybody refers to Kevin as it.
Yes.
Nobody's like, oh, I love him. Everybody's like, love it.
Yeah.
Like Kevin is some kind of an entity.
Yes. That's so funny. There's so many jokes I could make right now, but they'd all be inappropriate, even though they'd be fun.
Yes, that's usually why we don't let you out on the news.
Yeah, I know.
All the inappropriate jokes.
Yeah, that's what we do. Awesome. Okay. Did you kick out that link to everyone, just out of curiosity?
I did not, no. I wanted to test it once before we really push it out there.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely want to test it. I'd actually say, guys, open up a support ticket and I'll hop in there in DS and I'll take a look at it and kick you off the link after we go ahead and run through it. Because there's a couple things I actually want to do for the DS domination side that give you some cool little perks in there.
Okay, you know what? Let's go with the action steps quick because we're still getting tons of questions about the same 2 points. So 1 point, if you don't have a sponsor or somebody has not invited you in INFINii or you're confused about it or just you don't know who to turn to, it's fine. Open a ticket. We will walk you through it. Okay, we got you. We have great people in here. We have very good teams who take care of people. And there are a lot of them, actually. I mean, it's not like we're just thinking of one person. There are a lot of different people, and we will make sure that we connect you with that. Okay? So you guys will be fine. Second question about, do I need to purchase XYZ? No, you don't need to purchase anything. You just need to make sure that you are in Partner Plus, okay, which is the system that you just saw, the INFINii network system. And we're going to send out the link for that. You guys will be able to sign up for that if you want. So don't worry about that either. And finally, the question about, do I need to make sure that I'm active in DSD at all times or active in INFINii at the prime level at all times? No, you do not need to be. You can use the Partner Plus program regardless of your status on other things. Okay, there is no, okay, so regarding this question of do I need to buy stuff before I can promote in INFINii? No. In DSD, if you want commissions for elite, let's say, then you have to be elite level yourself. In INFINii, there is no such requirement. You don't have to be Prime label to promote Prime or anything like that. Okay, so you guys have all the freedom to do that stuff. Okay, I hope that's very clear. No more questions left. All right, wonderful. And yes, if again, if you don't, guys, so Joseph, if you don't hear from a sponsor, that's okay. You know what, that happens. That happens, unfortunately, very, very, very commonly. So just write us, okay? Just write us and say, I don't hear from my sponsor, my sponsor is not active, or things like that. Just, you'll be taken care of. Is it a video or for an overview of Partner Plus? Yes, there is. Kevin, in his magnificent self, produced the video for that, so you guys can see how that works. If you guys have already seen it here. Again, just letting you know one more time, only get it if you see the value in it. Don't buy stuff for no reason. We think it's awesome. We think it's very useful regardless of if you're doing the DSD side or if you're doing the INFINii side. Hopefully you also understand why INFINii is structured the way it is. It's a better comp plan, it's a more lucrative comp plan, but it's also designed to help develop the networks of vendors, and that's really why it's there. And for the people wondering, do you use ICQ still? No, I don't, but I have it because I have certain server admins that we have in that have ICQ contacts. So I still have it with me since a very long time ago because we used to do server support with them on ICQ. In fact, I'll probably uninstall it today just because of this comment.
It's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I know. Old school. Why do you guys set up a different system instead of upgrading DSD further? Guys, again, we are very candid about this stuff. We didn't even have to take the question, but I would love to. We spent a lot of time explaining how they have to be very, very different systems because the approach is very different and the aim is very different from two of them. Okay, but more importantly, DSD is simply the training and tools component that has always existed under the INFINii umbrella. The system that we were just discussing, that's what Kevin was getting at, right? What did Kevin say? He said the origins of DSD were that we actually built a system, and DSD, what later became DSD, was a small component in that system. Okay, and we took that one component and we made it bigger, and then unfortunately many events happened, which really did not let us take it to the full direction that we were intending to take it from the beginning. Between my life and then Kevin was retiring from the Air Force, and that took a little bit of time and so on. But despite those things, we were able to do a tremendous thing in DSD. And at this point in time, the place where the market stands, the place where the world stands as a whole, really we get on these webinars more because it's fun, because we want to educate you guys on what's going on with Amazon, for example, today and so on. But also because this is like our family, so we always want to be connected, and we always want to tell you guys on, give you guys directions on what we're doing. The big reason for creating a completely separate system in INFINii Commerce, keep in mind INFINii Commerce is also just a small piece within the INFINii umbrella. Just like we have the INFINii Marketplace and the INFINii Vendors Program and the INFINii Store System and so an INFINii Network. There are all these different pieces within the gigantic thing that hopefully someday we will be able to step back and see this massive conglomerate. But one of the big reasons for doing that was because we need a system for vendors, one, because we needed to upgrade the comp plan tremendously, and three, because we genuinely were getting very concerned over some of the activities that we see, which are very recruitment based. And it's very interesting to me because many people have the opposite reaction. When they first look at the two, they're always like, well, INFINii seems to emphasize the networking concept a little bit more. It's true, it does, because the target audience we're going for is overseas audience who have all the manufacturers there, right? So you have to do that. But if you really think about it,
I'm sorry. I just got to say, and when you tie in the fact that somebody can get paid the same amount if you came in on their level 15 or level 20 and you're producing, they can get down there and support you. We saw a real need for people to be able to benefit even if they didn't directly recruit somebody. So if I signed up Hitesh, who signed up Bill, who signed up John, who signed up Arnold, and Arnold's going, my sponsor's not helping me, it's in my best interest financially to help him, just as if I sponsored him. Same. I don't miss out on too much, right? And that was a hedge to help you guys, to help people dig deep into their teams and help people grow. You know, where we have never been the fan of network marketing opportunities in a lot of senses, right? Until INFINii. But we are a fan of the fact that people can get down there and help you. It's all about how can we structure things to drive actions. How can we pay out a commission that will drive an action? What action do we need it to drive out? We need it to drive, the compensation plan needs to drive somebody digging down deep in their organizations to help you. We don't want to leave anybody behind in any of this stuff. And so it really concerns us when we see that. And so that's one of the driving factors for having INFINii and the compensation plan that is there. I hope, does that make sense to you guys? We don't want you to get left behind. We don't want somebody to sign up somebody who signs up somebody who signs up somebody that gets neglected. And we would see that, and it would really bother us, guys. So we had to have some kind of compensation plan to hedge against that and provide you with long-term income, long-term residual income. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
And tied into all of that is, and this is what we were getting at, what culture is created when we would see a lot of people being told, hey, I'm promoting the $1,500 item, or I'm promoting the $500 training because I'm going to make $250, I'm going to make $1,000 promoting this stuff. And that was the primary thing. It really, in many cases, we did see that it was creating this cost for members as well. One of our things was that selling on Amazon is not some unique novel thing now. So suddenly telling people, it was great at one point, and even then we were very cautious about and careful about it. And I mean, sure, I remember the number of webinars and presentations we got on, including at our events, and we said, listen, don't buy this stuff if you can't afford it, right? Completely the opposite of what typical companies do. And we have the same thing. But what's the point of telling people don't buy this if you can't afford it, and then still offer it to them? So one of our big factors, one of our big thought process behind it was, how can we lower the costs a lot more, and how can we make sure that people have a lot more support? So the comp plan was the idea on the support. And then our other thing was, let's remove this $2,000, $2,500 cost right now. And then you have the cost of buying inventory, and then you have all these other costs. So our whole concept was, let's make the cost as little as possible, which we did, because now, like I was showing you guys before, if you go in INFINii, you're going to find in $50 a month training, you have Amazon training and eBay training and Bonanza training and all the additional stuff, and international specific training and all the tools. You have the listing created and for Bonanza as well, by the way, and the repricer for Amazon. All of that stuff is existing there for $50. And the idea was more that leaves inventory for you, that leaves money for you to buy inventory and go build with that and to go create a business out of that. While on this side, we really began to see a culture of people, and you've all seen this. I mean, you would see stuff on Facebook with somebody saying, I'll give you my special training if you buy Genesis through my link. And we were kind of like, you know, there's an icky feeling. And we are not above saying that, hey, even in the system that we created, we saw some of that. So we wanted to fix that. And that's why one of the ways was to make sure that we changed the comp plan, we changed the pricing structure, and we developed an internal system. The way we're going to get paid is when you guys buy stuff from the marketplace and sell it successfully in other places. That just seems like a very clean business model, a transparent business model. And that's fine. And we had a lot of challenges along the way, and we'll continue having challenges going into the future. But for those who actually applied it, those who actually built in this, those who actually work with it, have done a whole lot. And like I see in the comments by Norman, that if I had spent $1,500 on training, then I would not have money left for products. And we wanted to make sure that people had money to actually buy the products. So that's what we did. I mean, even with the Springboard, we don't make any money at all. We just pass the profits on to you guys. So that's kind of what we saw. And that's the culture that we wanted to break away from. That's the culture that we wanted to change. And it's very easy to say, oh, I care about you, But then when you look at people's financial interest, when you look at their actions from a financial perspective, you can see whether they have your interest in their mind or not. And that's basically been the catalyst behind a lot of the decisions that we have made for a very long time. And that's kind of where we are.
I think you're right, Bruce.
Jeff White wants to name names. Well, we don't have names to name. We think everything is driven by the market and everything is a business decision, and that's perfectly fine. That really is. It really will, in a way, provide better training, and it'll be a catalyst to bring out more tools to the market and so on. And that's totally fine. I see one question about when will we have a repricer and tracker in INFINii. So we have a thing coming out called INFINii tracking. You guys are going to see that. It's going to be pretty ridiculous because it's a little bit of retake on how this whole system is run. In fact, I could probably show you guys. Let me see if I can just pull that up quick. Okay, so I'm not going to risk showing the actual pages because I know what's going to happen when I do. People are going to run there and start looking at it. So I'm just going to show you guys. I'm going to move this into a screen so I can walk you through it. Okay, so this is, I basically took a screen out of that for INFINii tracking. And so you connect your accounts, you connect your eBay, your Bonanza, and your Amazon accounts. And by the way, in the future, you'll be able to connect your marketplace and INFINii stores account as well, because you'll be able to source from the marketplace, and that will be one of the places you buy. So essentially, this works in 6 different steps, which is source, spread, socialize, automate, auto order, and accounting. Okay, so source, basically what you do in source is you go to the page, and the page says, okay, tell us this. What category of products do you want to buy, want to source? What price range? What type of rating? What demand range? And what store? Right? So for example, you go in and say, I want to look at items on Overstock that cost between 95 and 150 that are rated between 3.5 and 5, right? Collect those items for me. And we say, okay, we'll collect those items for you. So we go ahead and we collect those items, and then we drop you a message saying, okay, we are done. Here's a list of 2,648 items that we can work with. And then you can go in and you can make more tweaks to that selection if you want, or you can just say, all right, this sounds good. And then you go to the next page, which is spread, which is you're going to spread these listings all over. And you can say, I want to list these on Bonanza, I want to list these on eBay, I want to list this on Amazon. And you can spread your 2,468 listings or whatever you have onto all 3 places, 2 of the 3 places, 1 of the 3 places in different order, and whatever you want to do. You can do that. So you can put those products out there. Next is socialize, which is a very big component. I don't know if you guys have seen that. Who here is already using the social signals plugin on INFINii Tracker, on the INFINii ALC? Because essentially, once your listing is created, to get you higher up in rankings, one of the things we do is we create social signals from Twitter and Google and all these different places. We drive these social signals and we drive some external traffic to try and get your rankings, your listings a little bit of ranking boost, right? So it's
This is great. There's people actually doing it already. You see that?
Yes, that's awesome. That is beautiful. So which shows you guys are paying attention. That's awesome. So this is basically trying to do that automatically over 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 listings. If you want to create that, if you want to create 100, that's fine. If you want to create 10, that's fine. Next is automate, which is essentially your tracking for price and out of stock things and stuff like that, which is usual at this point. It's kind of standard fare when it comes to managing your listings. And the other thing is auto ordering. Now this is actually a very interesting aspect of this, because you remember that we put out an auto ordering, we had to temporarily disable that, and then we're going to re-enable that. The reason we had to temporarily disable it is actually some new rules that came out about what we call PCI compliance. Who here has ever heard about PCI compliance? I mean, you're all business owners, so I'm assuming many of you have heard about it.
I doubt many have,
yes,
actually.
PCI compliance.
Okay,
well, some seem to have, like 3 people. So PCI compliance is essentially directions on how you store credit card information. You guys know how much fraud is going on. You know, Home Depot had the big hacking, Target had the big hacking, many places have had big hackings. So we didn't want to ever risk, and actually now at this point it's illegal to store anybody's credit card information on your server. Okay, you can not even just on your server, but even on some other server, even encrypted, you can't store credit card information. So you have to be very careful about it. We really modernize a lot of things in the background. These are some of the things that many people don't realize are happening in the background, right? So we have to make all these tweaks and updates and things like that, even in our payment ordering process, to apply for this, to work with this. So at this point, if anybody's offering you an auto ordering service where they are getting your credit card information and they're getting your account information, that's actually illegal. Okay, just like to put it plainly, that's actually illegal. Now, we are big enough that we don't want to risk it. There are people who are not big enough or maybe making enough money offering it that they are okay with offering it. But you can't actually do that. So we actually found a way around it. We found a workaround, and we will show you guys how that works. We're working on that and finalizing that. But sometime in April, we expect that we'll we expect that in a week, we're going to release this system that Kevin was just talking about earlier, and then we're going to also pull in our first group of beta testers. We have a few people picked out. We're going to put them into this so they can run that. And that's your PCI compliance that takes care of that automatically. Sorry, that's your auto order that takes care of the ordering process from Overstock. If you're selling items on Amazon from Overstock, it'll take care of that. If you're selling items on eBay from Overstock, it'll take care of that. If you're selling items on eBay from Amazon or Bonanza from Amazon, all of those combinations, you will take care of all of that stuff. So that's what that's there for. And then finally, you have accounting, and this is really important. It's actually more important than you realize, because many will have coupons that they're applying to their purchases. You will have cash back you're applying to your purchases. You're applying in-store credit in some cases. All of those things have to be accounted for. So the accounting page essentially tracks that and takes care of that and logs the profit and logs the taxes that you paid on it. And that's basically how this piece works when it comes to the INFINii. So it's a ways beyond can be repriced stuff. It's actually designed to be a full-out solution across the board for everything. And there's another module that we're working on right now, which is called the Again module. The Again module is basically to get buyers to buy again, which is accomplished by automatically monitoring your feedback on eBay. And when a certain type of feedback or a certain type of question comes in, you can actually put in place automated answers. Like if somebody sends in a question saying, hey, I haven't received my delivery yet, or something like that, you can put in place automatically, send a response, use the tracking link, give them the tracking information. So it'll automatically do those things as well. So that's another module we're working on. And to make sure that people can run this whole system with their complete choice and freedom on what they want to run and what they don't want to run, everything has an assigned token value. Like it'll cost this many tokens for you to use this feature, and you can choose what feature runs how often. And you can, for example, say when an order comes in, don't fill it right away. Wait 6 hours before you fulfill it, because maybe in 6 hours they'll cancel that order, right? Because most of your refunds or most of your returns will actually happen in the first 6 hours where they'll cancel the order. So you want to have the freedom to be able to do that. So you can set those things up, and then depending on how much of your system is used, how much tokens is used, you'll pay based on that, which makes it much more flexible. It doesn't run you dry. You're not paying for things you're not using, and so on and so forth. So I wasn't intending on actually bringing this up at all. I just interestingly happened to have this on the same Paint document that we were working on. So I was kind of able to show this to you. But this is essentially what INFINii tracking is all about. We expect to put this out in April after significant amounts of testing through beta programs and so on, kind of like what we did with INFINii Network, the Partner Plus program. It was it was just put out there, and then we put some people in, then we talked about it a little bit more and a little bit more. Then we showed it on a webinar, and now we're actually going to mail out and let people know, hey, it's big time ready, you can come in. So anybody kind of sort of excited about this stuff? Cool.
It's crazy how many people are still here. It's like,
I know, isn't it?
2.5-hour webinars.
Yeah.
And they probably feel like it's like getting on with grandma, you know what I mean? Just talk your ear off. We just talked their ear off for 2 hours.
Well, they asked the question.
Yeah, they did.
It's not like I brought it up.
It's great. No, it's cool. It's cool. And we appreciate you guys still being here. It's great.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Ernie needs to go to the bathroom. So yes. I think it's time for us to end this webinar. And we will talk with you guys very soon. And you know what? We have the webinar on Thursday. Get on that one with the INFINii Network. We're going to do another webinar for both DSD and INFINii side. We're going to do another one. And actually, we have the masterclass training on Wednesday. I think it's next Wednesday, not this one, not tomorrow. And then we have a training webinar on Saturday morning. So we have a lot of webinars and a lot of things going on. And we are going to also make sure that these webinars are noted as updates in your back office so you can see that. And you know, I really want to go over one more thing, but I'm not going to right now because we are really stretched the time. But I would like to show you guys a little bit of the INFINii digital system next time, and that's where you're going to be able to work with the tracking and the relaunch of OD and things like that. So we will go cover all of that stuff next time. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff.
Just saying do it now.
Nope. So, I think we're going to close this now. And we will cover more stuff next time.
We're getting yelled at in the chat, by the way, FYI. If you see
I know, I see that. But let's do these things right, okay? Let's do all of these things that we just talked about. Let's put these out the right way, and let's get a little bit of functionality out of that. And then we will set up another webinar for the next week, okay? And by the way, we will also be having a training webinar on eBay and Amazon. We'll do a training webinar this week as well. Hopefully, I'll probably have Matt do that. Okay, so all of you, thank you very much for hanging on for this long. All of you have a great night, and we will speak with you soon.